Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks from the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks podcast, and I am doing a review today on the anime Jujutsu Kaisen. I was recommended this anime, checked it out, I had good vibes from it, so I'm going to continue watching it, but I am doing a review on episode 1 today. But before we get into today's episode, make sure that you like and subscribe to the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks channel, and you like this video, so that way you can always keep up with us, the boys from the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks crew. So let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Yep. Hey, I'm recording. So,
Oh, hey, man, I thought I figured find you in here.
what the hell you doing here, man?
Well, you know, man, I was driving around the neighborhood, and I heard your voice somehow out in the ether, and
The
I thought,
ether?
You know, well, I haven't seen my boy Banks in a while, so I thought maybe I could pop by for a little bit of a visit.
Well, I'm doing a review on Jujutsu Kaisen. Have you watched that?
Man, I've watched the first episode.
Oh, well, if you've seen the first episode, then you can do this episode with me because I'm about to do a review on it. So I got my boy Devin Hahn here with me because you didn't say who you were, and I'm letting everybody know who you are. And he's going to be joining me on today's episode. And yes, he is related to Han Solo. So Devin, let's grab a chair for you and let's go ahead and record this episode.
Let's get into it.
So the episode, it starts off where we have this man that has a blindfold on his eyes. He kind of looks like Kakashi Sensei, but in reverse. Whereas Kakashi, he has his mouth covered up. This man has his eyes covered up, and he has our main character Yuji Itadora tied up. And Yuji's like, "What is going on?" He asks him, "Which one am I talking to?" We don't know what's going on here. This is how we're introduced to the series. And the intro starts playing. The intro song, it is badass. It's fire. I like it. It's something that I can play when I'm working out at the gym. So it is definitely something that I'm going to add to my gym playlist. Devin, how did you feel about the intro to the show? Not the intro, but you know, just how it started.
Well, I definitely like the aesthetic of it because the song fits along with the nighttime of the intro, and when you watch it after you either watch this review or if you watch it before the review, you will definitely see and agree with what we're saying.
Yeah, but what I meant was like when the anime first starts, like when we see Yuji, he's tied up with all of the spirit charms and whatnot. Like, what vibes were you getting when you saw that? Were you creeped out, or did you just want to know, like, okay, well, how did this man end up here? Because that's what I was thinking. I wanted to know, like, why was this man tied up? What did he do?
Well, if you looked, or if you remember, he has a little bit of blood, like kind of like right here on his mouth, and it looks like he was either eating something. He could have attacked a person. He could have done this, and like you said, you know, he's like, which one am I talking to? So maybe he has like a split personality, or maybe, you know, it wasn't him, or he was framed or something. You know, and obviously it doesn't explain anything, but it. You said his name was Gojo, or did we not mention that yet?
No, I did not mention his name. I just said that he looked like Kakashi Sensei.
Kakashi.
But yes, later on, I'm sorry, not later on, like right at the start, he says what his name is. He says that his name is Gojo. And that's pretty much how it starts. And like I said, we go straight to the intro. And then we see Yuji, who is in an occult club at the school that he goes to, Tokyo Metropolitan Magical Technical School. That's a mouthful. Oh, sorry, Technical College. I need to put some respect on that. This is a school, I'm assuming, for magic users, or I'm assuming that people in this world, they know about demons or something like this, I guess. But yeah, so you have this occult club. There's only 3 people in it, Yuji and 2 of his classmates. And somebody comes into the room and they're pretty much like, you guys can't use this room. You guys aren't even a real club because it's only 3 of you guys in here. And you have to actually do occult stuff in order to have this club. And Yuji, I forgot to mention this as well, he is a part of the track team. And the reason why he's in this club is that way he can avoid doing his track duties and activities that he's supposed to do. But going back to his friends, the girl, she pulls out some books, and pretty much she says that the soccer field had something go down where the students all got sick or something like that, and they said that the reason why this happened is because the soccer field was haunted. But then the boy, he's like, no, everybody had ticks. And that's pretty much how they go with that. But then Devin, explain like what happens next. Like, do you really think that it was ticks, or do you really think that the field was haunted?
Well, we get introduced to this guy who has black hair, who, if I remember his name, Fushiguro.
Yep.
And he is like kind of like a sensory type, so he kind of sees something almost immediately, like no, there's no prerequisite to what happens, and you just see this thing with like, it almost looks like fish-like or snake-like. It kind of like slithers out of the ground and onto a pole, and he's like, I never thought curses would be here, especially one of this high level, and it obviously looked dangerous, and it doesn't look good for the students there because they could obviously be hurt or whatever. And he sort of hears the commotion, and Itadori is competing with one of the coaches there in shot put, which with you throw an iron ball, and he basically breaks the guy's record pretty much. Yep. And then he runs past Fushiguro, and Fushiguro, again, like I said, he's a sensory type, so he senses sort of like a faint trail of
like spirit energy,
like yeah. And he basically follows the trail of what he described was as a cursed object. And I think that leads us into our next scene.
Yeah, so pretty much the cursed objects are these things that are in certain areas. If I could compare them to anything, they're kind of like Pokemon, if I wanted to compare them to anything. And you have this one cursed object that is at the school, and it is a super grade cursed object, and it is of this demon named Sukuna. And when Fushiguro, when he goes to look for this object, he can't find it because Yuji, he took the object and he gave it to the members in his classroom. Now, before we get to what happens next, I want to go to the hospital where we're introduced to Fushigori's, not Fushigori, but Yuji's grandfather, who is sick. He's on his deathbed. He sends flowers there to his grandfather, so that way, Fuji shows that he cares. Did I say Fuji or did I say Yuji? I think I meant Yuji. I'm combining the names, Yuji and Fuji. Yuji, sorry. Don't hate me. Please do not dislike this video because I messed up this man's name. But Yuji, he sends the flowers there. His grandfather is old. He's on his deathbed. And pretty much, he's his only family. He's the only family member that he has in this city. And his grandfather, he ends up dying. But before he dies, he tells Yuji that he needs to use his strength to protect people that are weaker than him, and not to worry about people who can't defend themselves. So it kind of makes me think that his grandfather, he was once strong in his youthful days, but as an older man, as we all know, like once you get old, unless you're somebody that's super strong, I'm trying to think of somebody that's old and super strong, but I can't think of anybody right now. Do you have anybody in mind?
I would have to say from Bleach, is his name Genryusai, the dude with the long beard?
Man, I'm talking about in real life. I'm not talking about an anime. Like, I'm really trying to think of somebody that's old and still super strong. Anyway, we can't think of anybody. But yeah, so his grandfather, he ends up dying, and Fushiguro, he is at the hospital because he senses Yuji's spirit energy, and he asked him for the super curse artifact, which Yuji reveals that he gave it to his friends. Now we go back to the school. His two friends are in the classroom, and they're trying to open up this cursed artifact, not knowing what it is and what is about to happen to them. And as they're opening it up, the girl, she finally gets it open, and then demons, they come from the ceiling. They come crashing down to get this finger, because if they eat this finger, it'll make them stronger. So Yuji and Fushiguro, they get to the school. Fushiguro says, hey, you stay outside because this is out of your league. He goes into the school to help Yuji's friends, and we see that one of Yuji's friends, he has like one of the demons on top of his head, and then the other demon ends up getting the girl. And when Fushiguro gets into school, he summons his cursed what are they, like they're cursed, his cursed beast, which are two wolves. And they track down the demons, and the first thing he says when he sees the demon is, wow, this demon is trying to suck this girl in whole. And I'm just like, well, dang, like, what about the guy? He's still there as well. So Fushiguro's demons, they end up saving both of them. But Yuji, who is just like, hey, my friends are inside, I'm going to go inside and save them. He jumps up, comes through the glass like Stone Cold, oh, hell yeah. And he pretty much beats up the demon. And after that, he saves his friends, but the demon is still alive. So then Fushiguro, he gets caught because he ends up pushing Yuji out of the way, and he's just like, hey, get out of here. And then one thing leads to another. Yuji, he has the artifact in his hand, and he eats it. Now, this artifact, like, it looks disgusting. It's a old rotten fingernail, and it's sharp. And I remember when his friends, when they opened it up, they were like, it's a human fingernail. And I'm just like, come on, what human fingernail looks like that? Well, not human fingernail, but human hand. And I'm just like, no, like it was red. Like, no human finger looks like that. So Yuji, he eats it, and now he becomes like this cursed demon type deal thingy.
He starts to get markings like on his wrists and on his face, and then if I can recall correctly, the moonlight kind of comes in, and it kind of, again, the aesthetic of this anime is also on very point. He gets hit with the moonlight, and you see just this marking under his eye, and an eye opens up underneath his eye, and you hear a different voice laughing, and you're like, well, what's going on? And then the demon starts talking through Yuji's body, saying how, oh, the flesh feels good under the moonlight, and saying, like, where are the women at? Where are the kids at? Basically saying like he's gonna feast. And he jumps up on a rail and almost looks like he's gonna, rampage the city, but he grabs his face, and Yuji, who is like suppressing him in a way, is like, give me my body back, it doesn't belong to you. And then he kind of suppresses Sukuna, and before he can really say anything, Fushiguro says, under Jujutsu regulations, I have to exorcise you as a demon or a curse. And after that, it kind of cuts to black, and you don't know what happens next. So that's the end of it.
Now, see, when he said that he had to exorcise him, it's like, I'm wondering, is it kind of like Supernatural, where it's like when somebody gets exorcised, like when the demons get exorcised, do they get sent back to hell, or do they just die? Like, does the demon and the person whose body the demon is in, do they die? I really hope that this doesn't happen, because I like Yuji. Of course it's not going to happen, because he's the main character of this series, and we know when it comes to lead protagonists, they don't die unless you're Yusuke Urameshi, who died, came back, then died and came back again, or Son Goku from Dragon Ball, where he's died how many ever times that he has died, we lost count. But yeah, I recommend this anime. It's pretty good. It really has Bleach vibes to it, so I'm really digging that, early Bleach vibes. Because I am a fan of Bleach. Only the first season of Bleach. When they get to Soul Society and whatnot, after that, I kind of fell off. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this series and continuing to do reviews about it. Devin, thank you for rolling up on me and coming over here. I guess, like I said again, my voice carries and I talk loud, and Devin heard me. Like, how far away were you when you heard me?
Oh, I was down over by the store down there. You got plenty of stores out here.
Yeah, that's true. I do live near a lot of stores.
And I don't know how I heard you through my car, but it was almost, again, like in the ether. I just heard your voice, and I thought, well, he's nearby, so might as well just pay him a visit.
Yeah, I guess he heard me recording, and yeah, he just rolled up on me. He literally rolled up on me, because usually when I'm recording, like, nobody knocks on the door. So Devin, thank you again for joining me on this episode. Tell everybody in social media land where they can find Mr. Devin Hahn at.
Well, on Facebook, my name is Devin Hahn. There's no, special username, but for Instagram and or Twitter, it is the Landward Osprey, all undercase.
Cool. And you can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, at KingBenji_Banks on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook by typing in Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Make sure that you follow all of the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks social media accounts at Leveling Up Banks. And if you're feeling generous and you would like to donate to your boys, our Patreon is at Leveling Up Banks. Thank you again for checking out this episode. Again, make sure that you like and subscribe so that way that you can keep up with us. And we'll see you next time. Pinkies up.